Hi, I'm Scott Helmers, and I'm here with fellow Visio MVP Chris Roth, who's going to talk to us about some of the ways to add style and color and pizzazz to your Visio drawings.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, it's kind of a potpourri this session, but there's lots to see, and let's get right to it. This is new in Visio 2010. You can make more area to work once you've got graphics on the page and get the shapes out of the way, but you can still access them nice, and I'm actually rolling my mouse here, so if we have a shape emergency, we can go out there and grab one. But we'll leave them over there for now. So first obvious change in Visio 2010 is we've got the ribbon here, and if you need to do formatting on any shape, most of what you need is on the Home tab. Now, users of other Office apps have had this for a couple generations now, and they'll be familiar with it, but you see we've got several groups for text formatting, and over here we've got fill, line, and shadow. So let's start changing some colors. First and foremost, that green is a little bit harsh, so let's tone it down. And you'll notice that as I pick from the colors, I get a live preview as I mouse over different swaths. And that's really nice because it gives you the try before you buy interaction.
Right.
And if I decide I don't like any of those, I can just mouse away and leave it the way it is. So let's actually pick something a little bit more tasteful there. And you might not remember, but before you would apply a fill color, decide you didn't like it, and hit undo. So the live preview, it's not just a ooh-ah feature, it really is a labor-saving device, so to speak. You can do the same thing with the line. We can cascade down a little bit further and we get live preview on line thickness. Let's go crazy, make it really thick. And you can always change text. We've got font previews and everything like that too. It's all live preview. And part of the ribbon overhaul includes right-clicking. When we right-click on a shape, we can see we've got the core text and fill formatting functions all right there in one little mini toolbar.
That's good. Now, you're having to make these changes one at a time, whether you use the ribbon or the right-click mini toolbar. Isn't there a way for me to apply multiple changes to one shape at a time?
That's a good point, and I actually do a lot of drawing with Visio. Most people are only making one or two changes to a flowchart, maybe just a red outline just to highlight something that needs to be addressed later. But if you are doing more graphical type things, creating your own shape sets and stuff, you'll want to find either the dialog box launchers, which are indicated by these little boxes on the ribbon, and those bring up full dialogues that allow you to make numerous changes at once without having to sort of lose the toolbar or lose the drop-down menu that you were busy with.
Okay. I know I get this question a lot. People, and I see people doing it wrong a lot. They'll put a shape on the page and then they'll use the text tool to make a text box and then move it around and position it near the shape and then add text to it, and most of that isn't really necessary for most shapes, is it? Yeah,
lessons learned in 1994, Windows 3.1 time frame probably from some other application. No, but you can see that as I drag these shapes around, the text goes with them. And if I use the text block tool to create some text, and I'll just type some stuff in here, text block, really original. And I'll go back to the pointer tool. You can see I've created a text block, and people seem to think that that's something
special.
Something special.
Right.
But I have a secret for you. This is just another shape that has its own text, and I'll prove it to you by giving it a fill color, and I'll prove it to you by giving it a line outline. I'll even make that line thicker so you can see it. This is just a rectangle,
just another rectangle
with no line and no fill when I first created it. Now, text blocks, they do sort of have their own universe within a shape, and you can actually move the position of the text relative to the shape. And I'm not talking about paragraph alignment, to the top or the bottom. I'm talking about actually moving the shape's text relative to the shape.
Okay.
And you do that with the text block tool. And when you click it, at first it doesn't look any different. The cursor changes, but if you pull this here, you can see that there's sort of a second box on top.
It leaves the shape behind and it's just moving the text portion.
So there is a parallel universe of text blockishness, but it still belongs to the shape, and you'll see that when I switch back to the pointer tool, everything's moving together.
Okay, so you can manually reposition the text portion of a shape anywhere you'd like it to be. Okay, great.
One other thing to look at, though, you don't always have to get the text block tool to move text on a shape. Some shapes, like the network shapes, I think the workflow shapes, and a few other shapes, shapes pre-made shapes from Microsoft where the text lives off of the main graphic, as opposed to flowcharts where the text lives inside of the box. A lot of times they have a little yellow control handle. I don't know if you can see it very well here, but the cursor changes to a crosshair and that allows me to move it. And that's built right in to the shapes.
Okay.
But it's not a it will be there feature. Sometimes it's there. The shape designers decided to put that on there. But that saves you the time of switching tools because you can manipulate that right offhand with the text tool. So we'll move on. I've got one more tip regarding formatting of groups. It's not always obvious to newer users. And these are all shapes intended to be used as single symbols.
Right.
But they happen to be groups of other shapes. You can see there's a rectangle and a little man graphic here.
Okay.
Now, if I select this shape and I give it a fill, you'll see it does something that maybe you don't really want. The whole shape is turned brick, how would you, mauve?
Yeah, whatever
One
name.
of those colors. And the problem here is that Visio doesn't know what to apply the formatting to. You've selected it and there's some shapes. So the trick here is to try to sub-select something inside. So I select the group and then I click again and see if I can get another selection rectangle. Now I've only selected the tram or the train and I can turn it, just it green. Now again, we have maybe the window. It might be, again, a sub-shape of that. I won't go into that right now.
Right.
But the point is now I can change certain elements of that.
So the first click typically selects the group, and a second click on an object within the group will sub-select that object.
Now, those are what I call the dumb formatting groups. Maybe it's a bit harsh, but in contrast to smart formatting groups, where you'll see usually the graphics look a lot nicer too. They're more
richer,
shaded and richer.
Textured.
But what happens when I select this, the first thing I notice is that I can't actually sub-select anything. So somebody's protected that, so I can't actually go down and get it. But it turns out I don't need to, because watch what happens when I change the color. The shading is smart. We maintain some shading. Certain elements don't change color at all. So that's an overview of formatting.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, Chris. It's some great, great tips. If you're not familiar with all of what Chris has just shown you, you might even want to watch this video again, because there's a lot of good content in there. Thank you very much for watching.